Hi, my name is Nathan Sweeney. I'm a Cloud Solution Architect at Ingram Micro Cloud, and today I'm going to be talking to you about SQL 2008 R2 end of support and what that means to you as a business. So SQL 2008 R2 has become end of life as of January the 9th, 2019. Microsoft are no longer giving out security patches, or you can't buy extended support in regards to it at all. So if you have SQL Server 2008 R2 on your premises, whether it be on premises, on physical server, virtual machines, whatever it may be, you will not get extended support and you will no longer get security patches relating to that. As a side note, Windows 2008 R2, as of the 14th of January 2020, will also become end of life as well. So these are 2008 is becoming end of life. What can you actually do about it? So the first thing that you can do is obviously upgrade your on-premises from 2008 R2 to 2016 or 2017, whichever the latest version of SQL is. But that also means doing probably a big change of your functions, your apps within SQL, your search queries and parameters, etc. Or you can migrate it to Microsoft Azure, and that effectively becomes a version free. It becomes a managed instance. You get 3 years of free patches, security updates, etc. And also you can leverage your existing licenses for cost savings. So how do you migrate your SQL database to Azure? So within Azure you would use Azure Migrate. You could either move the entire server using something like Azure Site Recovery or one of the ISV tools available. Or you can just move the database that is relevant to your application. So you'd use something like the database migration service. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the database migration service migrating an on-premise virtual machine database, a SQL server, sorry, across up into Azure. Okay, so how do we move our database on premises up into Azure? So in front of you, you can see I'm connected to the Azure portal. You'll see that I've on SQL databases, and in here, all I've done is set up a test database. So you click on that, and then you'll see the overview of this database. I set it up about 5 minutes ago. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to minimize this because this is all set up and ready to go. As you can see here, we've got a server name. I've set my firewall and the IP addresses required in order to be able to access this. So I'm just going to copy that there, which is the server name. This is the on-premises virtual machine SQL server, and that's the server name there. So what I've done is on this server I've installed Data Migration Assistant. So what we're going to do is just go through this. As you can see, you're presented with two options, an assessment and a migration. Now, if I'd been running this server for I don't know how long, and I wanted to make sure that everything was correct before migrating, then I would run an assessment on this database first. However, I'm just going to click on migration. We'll set the project name. The source is a SQL server, and it's an Azure SQL database. Oh, excuse me. That we're going to connect to. We want to take the schema and the data, so we'll just click on create there. Server name, so let's just grab the SQL server name there, just copy that. This is just a demo server. As you can see, it's picked up the AdventureWorks database 2017, so that's connected to this SQL server, recognized the databases that's in there, and if you had multiple databases it would list them, and then you could select it on a database by database option if you wanted to. Click on next. So now I'm selecting the target, so let's just go and grab that, put it in there. So when I set up the database, it asked me to select a username and password, so that's what I'm going to do now. And as you can see, that's connected straight away to that database, and it's coming back with the database that is available. So we'll just click on next. This is now preparing the database schema in order for it to be able to be migrated. Now, as I mentioned a minute ago, if you have run a database for quite some time, you are going to get a few issues. So understanding what those issues are and being able to resolve them is going to be key to make this a success. So when this comes up, it would give you, and if there was a fix available, it would say, here is the available fix. This is what we'd recommend to go and follow. As you can see, for these three, there isn't any, and they're just behavioural changes of that table. So I'm just going to generate the SQL script. This is now bringing everything together. So we'll just wait for a moment. Hopefully this shouldn't take very long at all. I'm doing this in real time, and I will leave this in this demo so you can see how long this will take. I'm not even going to read any of this. I'm literally just going to hit deploy schema. As you can see, that's now running 2,236 lines, statements to that database in Azure. So there's been one error so far. Just going to probably ignore that, to be honest with you, for the sake of this demonstration. However, if you wanted to run up a test database in Azure, this is the safest way to do it, because it will run through, it will create all your schema. All it's doing is reading from the database, and then if you wanted to, you could then migrate your data into Azure. It would also leave a copy on premises as well. So this is just coming towards the end, and I'm now just going to hit migrate data. And then the last part of this is just hitting the start data migration. So let's just give it a go. See, last time I've done this, it took 7 minutes, and I think that was that's quite some time ago. So it may have got faster. So okay. So as you can see, it's going to work through all of these tables. It's going to work its way all the way down and all the way through those. So at the minute we're on 20 seconds. I don't believe that this is actually going to take so long, so let's just give it a second, give it a moment, see what happens. The 7-minute one, it was actually pre-populated with some. This has got a very minimal amount of data. It was pre-populated with some data that I pulled into it. So hopefully, okay. So less than a minute so far. So is there anything actually remaining? Or is it just tidying up? So it must just be confirming that everything's actually gone up successfully. Okay, so everything's gone through. It must just be doing its validation checks. So whilst that's going on, let's have a quick look at the database. So at the minute, not a great deal. So let's hit, there's got to be a refresh button. Just hit refresh. Take me back to the same place. Okay, so this is obviously start to expand a little bit more. You can see that the use space is now doubled in regards to, it's just a very simple database that I set up here. So that was 111 megabit a moment ago, so that's gone up about 90 odd meg. So that is definitely pulling data in. As you can see, the CPU build has gone, it's fluctuating. And compute's not really doing it. I mean, it's not really doing a great deal, to be honest. So let's have a quick look. There we go. That's completed. So this is now fully done. 1 minute 15 seconds. If I wanted to, I could go out of there and save the migration to prove that it's been done. As you can see, I can still connect to this database. Let's have a quick look. Yep, that's all up and running. I'm sure it is. Let's have a quick look. We're in a new query. This will take its time. However, let's just go back to that database. Yep, so that looks as though it's all there, to be honest with you. So I'm sure you can log in and connect to it, depending on how you want to connect, using SQL Manager, whatever it may be, and run your queries against, just to prove that the data's up and running. You could also spin up a virtual machine, use your connection strings to get in. So you just select these by clicking on this button here. It will then show you connection strings, and then you can connect to the database and start pulling data from that, just to prove that it is up and running and it is working. So what we've covered within this is what's currently going on with SQL Server 2008 R2, the fact that it's end of support. You can't get extended support contracts, you can't get extended security updates, or anything at all. So what we've also discussed is what you can do about it, whether that's moving to upgrading your on-premises SQL Server or migrating across into Azure. And also I've shown you how you can migrate that database into Azure that's reliant for your workloads. My name's Nathan Sweeney. Today I've been talking to you about SQL 2008 R2 end of support and what it means to you as a business. I hope you found this informative, and feel free to reach out to me if you need anything.